If you haven't watched part 1 of this video, I suggest you go and have a look at it, as it covers 70% of the whole video, which was split into 2 parts. There is a chance that we may be in the reaches for another Carrington event within this decade. How sure is it going to be? In 2001, one of the largest solar flares and coronal mass ejections in recorded history exploded out into space. It was moving at a speed of 4.5 million miles per hour, but fortunately, it swept away from Earth by a significant margin. Also within this time period, there were several significant ones too, but not as huge, as happened in 1859. Now looking back to our time, which is 2024, 23 years from 2001, and 165 years from 1859. What damage would be caused to our everyday modern-day systems if geomagnetic storms arrived now in 2024? From calling a friend using the data networks to powering up the whole economy using big high-voltage power transformers and generators, what would happen to those processes? Before we know that answer, we need to know some solar science just to get to knowing how it works. A German amateur astronomer, Samuel Heinrich Schwabe, in 1843, found out that our sun goes through a 11-year solar cycle, going through solar minimum to solar maximum activity. Schwabe has been observing the sun for about 17 years and gets to know from his analysis that the sunspots vary in number across its solar period, where sunspots are most seen in peak time of maximum solar activity, and that's the time where the powerful solar flares and coronal mass ejections are produced. We are in the 25th solar cycle since 1755. So when looking to the history of Sun's solar cycle, it is clear that from solar cycle 21 to cycle 24, the number of sunspots has decreased and seen an increase in the span of a solar cycle period, which lead to a conclusion that before the arrival of solar cycle 25, which is December 2019, the coming next cycle would be weaker in solar emissions, both intensity and energy. But something unusual happened in peak of solar cycle 24, which is that the sun's north pole reversed its polarity 3 times to get to a stable positive magnetic field, but its south pole only changed once to get into a stable negative magnetic field. This was interesting, which led to a speculation that the next cycle would be different. Now in February 2024, it is observed that significant number of powerful X-class solar flares were produced, and the interesting part was that according to research, 25th solar cycle is much earlier than expected and has ramped up its speed, and also there seems to be a slightly increased number of sunspots than expected. As you can see from the graph, the X-class solar flares have increased in number and magnitude. So if an event just like the Carrington event, which carried an estimate of X40 class solar flare, happened in 2024, this would cause long-term global shutdown of satellites, power grids, and surge in induced electric currents in many of our machines like the refrigerator, the generator, and even a phone too, which the aftermath would be electric shocks, electric sparks, and fire coming out of it. Extreme solar flares emit huge, powerful electromagnetic radiation as an EMP, which can disrupt or damage phone devices, or at least some of its parts. High voltage level transformers would be damaged, causing global power grid shutdown. The reason is because the induced electric currents in the Earth's crust and ionosphere saturate the flux fields in the transformer's core, leading to significant power loss and friction as heat. This event would cause great havoc to the entire global economy financially. So are we headed towards this in the near future? We are reaching the peak of solar cycle 25 in from late 2024 to 2025. This is where we should expect some massive flares and coronal mass ejections. In June 2023, a massive sunspot having the size of 7 Earth was spotted, which indicates soon enough sunspots like this could occur in the peak solar activities. One advantage we have is that we have advanced technologies like the satellites, which can help us to prevent those chaotic situations from happening, only if we operate a systematic plan to shut down temporarily, like the power grids, and take preventative measures from coming in contact with good conducting materials and machines. It seems nowadays many governments and different companies have taken into account all the preventive measures to ensure that the power grids works if and all hits the next day by the next Carrington event. But to know for sure if only occurred, the same as in 1859. It seems the majority of the governments are prepared for such scenarios. They would be able to shut down power grids earlier and are equipped to alert signals in our phone sent via network, warning for soon impending disasters and situations, and likely a guideline to take care of ourselves under such cases. This would likely reduce the chaotic situations by 90%, which is a good thing. One thing I like at the very end of the day, if this ever happened to us, is this. In the end, if you somehow reside near the poles, you would be able to witness some amazing and spectacular auroras which you shouldn't want to miss. I think we have covered all the things you would need to know. That is all about Solar Cycle 25 and its impending chaotic situations, problems and solutions, and also impending spectacular auroras. If this video was useful and informative, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. Soon enough, we'll be uploading more crazy scenario contents like this and other more contents too. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.